Hello, my bells. It's Darlene from Bellevue Integrative Wellness, and I help emotionally exhausted nurses and healthcare professionals reset their joy so that they do not quit the profession that they once loved. And so here we are. It's Tuesday, and as you guys already know, we have started a brand new workplace wellness series. It is for 8 weeks. And the topic is going to be psychological safety, which, alongside burnout, is another term that we hear on a consistent basis. And so, for week one, which begins, is today, I'm going to give you a definition of what psychological safety is and tools that you can use in the moment so that you can be well at work and be able to recognize when you're in environments that are maybe they're not necessarily for you, or maybe you just need to find a way to adapt and pivot, but not leave the nursing profession. All right. And so we are going to begin with, why is psychological safety even important? Why are we even talking about it? What does it mean? So, psychological safety is the ability to be in a specific environment or place and feel that you can be yourself. And that means that you are not afraid to share your opinion. You are not afraid to speak up and ask a question for fear of sounding stupid or sounding like you don't necessarily qualify for a role that you're in. Um, and then it's a place that you are able to fully just be yourself and feel comfortable. You don't feel rattled. You don't feel all the triggers that we discussed in the first workplace series, discussing burnout, that you're not necessarily feeling all that anxiety. That is what psychological safety is. And so when you find yourself in certain environments where you hesitate to speak up, and the hesitancy comes from a situation where you spoke up. Let's say, for example, you were a new employee and you're in the middle of a staff meeting, and you spoke up about the way people communicate with each other, and how it should be better. And then suddenly the room gets very quiet and people are kind of looking at each other. They're not saying anything, but the language is with their eyes, just making that eye contact. The room gets quiet and you start to feel a little uncomfortable, thinking something doesn't feel right. Um, that is where there is a chip at feeling psychologically safe, because now you realize that there is something that is unspoken in the room that is not working in your favor, right? And so when something comes up again, and you want to share your opinion or your thought or give a suggestion, you think twice about it because of the fact of what happened before and the type of response. So imagine scenarios like that occurring frequently. Then what happens? People learn to keep things to themselves, right? And so what happens is that it brews and it wears on you. And this is one of the things that can cause burnout, right? This feeling of constant stress, this feeling of, you know what, I don't have the ability to be myself, to express myself, to share my ideas, to give valid input. In fact, I don't even feel like I'm part of a team. And so that is why it is important for us as nurses and healthcare professionals to be able to recognize environments that are not psychologically safe. And so I'm going to give you the 4 tools on how to know if an environment is not necessarily psychologically safe or if it is psychologically safe. And so, tool number one is a safety check. That's number one, our assessment. Am I able to ask a question without feeling as though I am being judged, without feeling that people are ganging up against me or thinking, oh, she thinks she knows everything, or maybe she doesn't know enough? Am I able to express concerns about things, whether it's patient related, whether it's colleague related, whether it's anything with leadership, the department, anything. Do I feel safe to express concerns? And am I able to openly admit that I have made a mistake or that I do not understand something without feeling judged, ridiculed, and shamed, or feel as though I am behind? And if the answer to those types of questions is no, I do not feel safe, then that means that the problem isn't you, it is the culture in the place that where you're working. Okay. So tool number one, the safety check. Do I feel safe? Tool number two, you ever hear that expression where they say you need to be able to read the room? Reading the room. Watch what happens when someone speaks up. If you are in a group or you are in a meeting and there is that one person who has the courage to speak up and make a point or share an idea or give a perspective that is different from the norm, what is the verbal and nonverbal responses of the people in the room, just like the example that I gave earlier? Does the tone in the room shift? Does body language shift? And does it shift more towards the negative where people are kind of glaring and looking and rolling their eyes, getting quiet? Or is that person kind of dismissed, like, yeah, yeah, well, that's just how it is. Oh, yeah, well, we tried that before and it didn't work. Or is this person brushed off? And oftentimes, when there's no comment at all, where people are just quiet, those are the moments that teach a person to think, well, maybe what I said isn't necessarily right. You know what? Then forget it. I'm just going to be quiet. I'm going to come to work. I'm going to do my job and I'm going to go home. It is what it is. Tool number three is being able to separate. Does your department or organization separate standards, protocol, policy, procedure from shame? Now, we know that our foundation is everything that we do must be supported by policy. We must follow policy, we must follow procedure, we must have a standard in our care. We know this, right? And so every once in a while, the reality is that sometimes things can occur that are outside of that. And so when things occur, when mistakes occur, errors, how is that treated? Is it treated as a learning experience? Is there a root cause analysis? Do they follow through to see, to track back to see, okay, where in the scenario did the ball drop? Where did we go wrong? Where can we make adjustments? Or do you find that there's shame and blame attached to making errors and mistakes, and therefore it is difficult to admit that a mistake has been made? And so there has to be a separation between the policy and making a person feel ashamed for what they may have done wrong. When people are given an opportunity to learn from their experience, even if it's a negative experience, that allows not only that person, but other people who bear witness to it all, to be able to confidently step forward and admit when they make these errors, because ultimately, the ability to be accountable and admit errors is what will keep patients safe and what will allow you to practice as a nurse or a healthcare professional in a safe and professional manner. And then tool number four is being able to reframe. Are you able to reframe your perspective? If you see that, yes, there's some shame and there's some things going on within the department, and you're feeling as though, you know what, maybe I shouldn't have said this, or maybe I shouldn't have done this. Um, Instead of thinking, well, I need to have thicker skin, I need to be tougher, I need to be able to put up with this. Instead, think of it more as a cue to your internal self, to your body, your nervous system, telling you that something is up with this environment that is not aligning with me and my sense of feeling safe and secure, and to be able to feel confident to speak up, to share perspectives, to admit when things aren't, when things have gone wrong. You need to be able to reframe your perspective to be able to gain your confidence to speak up. And so ultimately, psychological safety is something that we should all have in the workplace. There is no such thing as a perfect workplace, but there is such thing as a healthy workplace. And not only is it beneficial to have a workplace that's very healthy, but that when you're in that space too, and you have the ability to have a clear mind, right? We go back to the our workplace wellness series number one. We talked about being aware of ourselves and how we feel and our triggers and our symptoms and burnout and stress and what all that is. If we take all that and we come into the day, right, we're able to recognize now how I operate within a specific environment, what sets me off, what makes me feel uncomfortable. So if we have the ability to recognize when that little internal alarm goes off and says, you know what, something in this room right now is making me feel uncomfortable, I'm able to name it, give it a name. It will allow us, it will allow me to be able to recognize unsafe dynamics that are in the workplace. And so for the next 7 more weeks, because this is an 8-week series, by the end of the 8-week series, you will be able to recognize what, a psychologically safe workplace looks like. You are gonna be able to stop internalizing what is never yours to carry, right? We've talked about that before too, but being able to see when, workplace environments are not necessarily right for you, and knowing when it's something that you need to be responsible for or where it's something that the culture needs to be changed, you will be able to reclaim your voice on your terms and continue to be you. And most importantly, you will stay in the profession that you signed up for, that you once loved. You will be able to continue to have the passion for what you do and be able to do it in a place that is able to allow you to thrive and that you love. So I look forward to you all joining me for the next 7 weeks. Continue to follow Sunday settings, Monday blog, Tuesday tools. I will check in on you on Wednesday, Friday feels, soulful Saturday, and all the things, and we'll just keep it going so that we can all reset our joy. So happy Tuesday. I hope that if you're about to eat dinner, you enjoy your dinner, or if you're just going to wind down, whatever it is that you choose to do, that you do it joyfully. Have a wonderful evening.